Today, we're gonna find out if the recently refreshed 140 RPM Stasis Hand Cannon Judgment is actually worth your time. From comparing it to other top 140s, breaking down what perks and stats you should be using, and even discovering how Judgment fits into this brand new Crucible meta. If that sounds like something you would enjoy, then consider hitting that sub button, as you'll probably like my other content as well, and I would really appreciate it. Now let's jump straight into the secondary perks, the first of which being either the Crossfire HCS or the Sure Shot HCS for the sight, Accurized Rounds for the barrel, and a Ranged Masterwork. I know this weapon isn't craftable, so if you don't get these exact perks, just try to prioritize range to the best of your ability and you should be okay. Now moving on to the perks that actually matter, starting with the third column. And right away, I'm going to advise against going for Demolitionist, because for most people, the provided grenade energy on a kill isn't a substantial enough amount to make it more valuable than any of our other third column perks. And honestly, other than Demo, all these perks are pretty solid, with Encore providing a nice benefit to range, stability, and accuracy cone size growth on weapon kill for large team game modes, Headstone being really synergistic with the Stasis subclass, especially this season's artifact mods, on top of the ability to res block in trials, and Lane'd Actions easily obtainable bonuses to this weapon's otherwise awful handling and reload speed, making it feel a lot easier to use, and moving targets increase to movement speed and target acquisition, while aim down sights being very good, especially for better players peak shooting. All of those perks are more than acceptable, and I don't think you'll ever regret using any one of them. Even so, there is one perk that I believe is quite a bit better than the rest, that being Slide Shot. Upon sliding, Slide Shot refills your magazine by 15%, which in Judgment's case is 2 rounds with the base magazine and grants 20 range and stability. This lasts 2.5 seconds and can be reset every 0.3 seconds. It can also be activated multiple times in one slide. Due to the recent changes to how drastic damage fall off is on 140s, on top of the lackluster stability stat that we will go over later, both of these massive benefits provided extremely easily make Slide Shot the best perk in the third column. Unfortunately, the fourth column is not nearly as diverse when it comes to the good perks to pick from, with Time Payload, Vorpal Weapon, Multi-Kill Clip, and Adrenaline Junkie all being perks I would recommend staying away from. Time Payload is a perk that I recommended in the past, but from what I can tell, it seems that in this last update that punished body shot TTKs, payload perks now only kill in 3 headshots on Guardians under around tier 7 Resil, as they now do 74 damage a headshot, only adding up to 223, which is not enough to kill a tier 10 Resil Guardian, with them sitting at around 230 health. Funnily enough, Judgment's origin trait Crossing Over does kind of counteract this by doing increased damage when you get to the bottom half of the magazine, but even so, there isn't any reason to be preventing yourself from getting a 3-tap when you usually would be in any situation. It also just got a nerf to how much it flinches your opponents alongside Explosive Payload. So seriously, I would stay away from Time Payload, at least for now. On a much better note, in this recent reprisal, Judgment picked up one of my favorite hand cannon perks in the game, Eye the Storm. Eye the Storm has some of the highest uptime in the game, with it only requiring the user to have low health to get access to the stat increases it provides. And those stat increases are all very good, with it granting up to 30 handling, minus 40 accuracy cone size, and minus 17 accuracy cone growth. Now, if you don't know anything about accuracy cone size, Destiny 2 essentially makes it harder to hit shots the longer you shoot. You can sort of see this by taking a look at your weapon's reticle while firing. Reducing your accuracy cone size and growth is essentially reducing this process by making your weapon more accurate over time. There is a lot more to these mechanics, but this is just a very simple explanation to get the point across. Fortunately, our last perk opening shot is pretty comparable to Eye the Storm when it comes to how easy it is to activate, with it literally activating on the first shot of attack after not shooting for 3.1 seconds. Its benefits are also pretty comparable, with it providing 25 range, 20 aim assist, 10% decreased accuracy cone size growth, and 5% decreased accuracy cone size. All of this leads to opening shot being an option to help with damage fall off and ease of hitting your shots on the first shot of attack, and Eye the Storm helping you hit your shots towards the end of an engagement. I personally prefer Eye the Storm as I tend to need the most assistance towards the end of my fights, but both perks are amazing in their own rights, and you should go with what seems to benefit your play the most. Now that we've wrapped up all the randomly rolled perks, I want to switch gears and talk about the Prophecy Dungeon's new origin trait, Crossing Over. Crossing Over grants increased handling and range for the top half of the magazine and increased damage for the bottom half. There wasn't anywhere that shared these specific values, at least yet, so I did some rough math, and it seems to be about 3 to 5 range and handling and a 3 to 5 increase to your damage. Now, that would have been really solid on its own, but since the last Crucible update, Bungie made damage fall off on hand cannons a lot less forgiving, requiring you to do pretty much full headshot damage on every shot if you want to achieve your optimal TTK. So if you're in the bottom half of your mag, the additional damage can make up for the little bit of damage fall off at longer ranges if you needed to. And if you're on the top half of your mag, the slight boost to range should have a similar effect, just essentially allowing you to reach your optimal TTK from further away. This is what I would consider to be the best origin trait on any hand cannon. But is it enough to allow Judgment's somewhat lackluster stats to compete with the top competition? Well, let's first find out what use cases Judgment is going to be competing in. The first of which is a stasis hand cannon that rules with headstone for either res blocking in trials and or stasis synergy. And honestly, it doesn't have much competition, with the only hand cannons that even meet that criteria being Vulpecula, which is unfortunately a 180, something new, which is a 120 that somehow has worse stability in handling the Judgment and also has a very lackluster third column, and finally, the only hand cannon that even remotely competes, Eyes Luna. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to stats, Eyes Luna is straight up better. However, Eyes Luna rules headstone in the fourth column, and since rangefinder isn't valuable on 140s anymore, that leaves us with pretty mediocre perks, especially when compared to Judgment's fourth column perks with either opening shot or Eye of the Storm, opposed to Eyes Luna's rapid hit or perpetual motion. Also, Eyes Luna doesn't have an origin trait, so Judgment definitely has that going for it. But which one is actually better? Well, I personally am going for better perks. However, if stability is something that is crucial to you, for example, if you play on a controller, then Eyes Luna might be your way to go. Real quick, this is not in the original script, but I've been playing a ton of trials this weekend, specifically on Stasis Hunter with AI the Storm Headstone Judgment, and it is amazing. The increased ability uptime you get from the Headstone crystals is bar none. If you enjoy Stasis Hunter at all, go give it a go. It's seriously great. So what other than generating stasis crystals is this hand cannon really trying to do? Well, it actually could just be a pretty solid general use 140 with its S tier perk combos and okay range stat, making it at least okay compared to the top competition. But I definitely don't think it's better than the top competition like Spare Rations, Rose, or Fatebringer due to the okay range and very mediocre stability and handling. But if you don't have Season the Deep, don't play comp, don't raid, or just want to try out a really solid weapon with pretty amazing perks and a great weapon model, and you don't mind a little extra flinch and recoil direction than you normally would, then I don't think you'll ever be doing yourself a disservice by choosing to go farm out of Judgment this week. Also, did I mention it's free to all players? So if you're a newer player, hop in there, have some fun, and who knows, you might get a pretty awesome hand cannon. I love seeing all of your beautiful faces. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day.